it is right now. It seemed to have been restricted. You never know exactly where it are, and that's the reason why we're getting together to them to try and get the precise molecular makeup of it so you could actually test for it. And that's something that'll take a little bit to put the appropriate materials together to do that. But we are in very active communication with our South African colleague scientists.
So today the president has no public events, but it's entirely possible he might wander out and shop around Nantucket for Small Business Saturday. He did release a statement yesterday talking about the importance of small businesses. And also he mentioned when he was out yesterday shopping on Black Friday that he was not surprised or concerned about the response that we're seeing in the stock market. Edward?
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. And stay warm out there. It looks really cold, so appreciate it. First, let's start by examining this new variant, the WHO labeling it Omicron. It's after the Greek letter O. So infectious disease specialist Dr. Amesh Adalja is here. So what do we know about this and about how infectious it might be at this moment?
There are a lot of open questions about this variant, but what we know is that it was identified in South Africa and it seems to be spreading quite rapidly there. And it's associated with a cluster of mutations, some of which have been seen in other variants like the Beta and Gamma variant that gave the vaccines a little bit of difficulty in neutralizing them. We also don't know so much about how much more transmissible it is. There's a lot of bias in the early data that it takes some time to sift through. Right. We know that it's in multiple countries, including in Belgium, including now in the United Kingdom, and the Belgian cases were not linked to South African countries. So that tells you that there is some spread going on. So a lot of questions that need to be answered in the next couple of weeks.
How quickly do you think we're going to get some of these answers?
We're getting some of them even today. We're learning from South Africa, for example, that the hospitalized patients tended to be not vaccinated, which tells you that the vaccines are able to protect against what matters, serious disease, hospitalization, and death. But it's going to take some time to be able to know exactly how far spread it is, what those mutations that they've identified, what they do to the behavior of the virus, how this variant fares against Delta, and how it will do in more vaccinated countries. Remember, South Africa is a place where only 25% of the population is fully vaccinated, so it's not a surprise that it might have arisen there. We'll see how it fares against Delta in high vaccinated countries as well.
Hey, we heard Jackie just say that Dr. Fauci is saying that the travel ban it possibly will not contain this. I mean, is a travel ban a good idea? Will it actually stop the spread?
No, the travel ban is not a good idea. What it does is actually penalize countries like South Africa for being transparent and talking about what variants they've discovered and alerting the world. So South Africa deserves a lot of praise, not punishment. And with a rapidly spreading variant like this, it's not likely that any kind of travel ban is going to actually stop it from showing up. And there's no way to know that it's not even in the United States at this point, because it's in the UK, it's in Belgium, it's in Israel, it's in Hong Kong. That's what happens. And these travel bans just are counterproductive, and they give people this kind of sense of security that this is going to help stop this from coming here when it's likely already probably here at a low level. And it just really sets a bad precedent for transparency when it comes to variants if this is what a country like South Africa gets in return for being vigilant about variants.
Right. So then let's take the next step then. Should I go to the store this weekend then and shop for the holiday season, or how concerned should I be with that?
Right now, I think if you're a fully vaccinated individual, you can kind of go as your risk tolerance supports. So I think that what we're seeing with this is maybe there might be some more breakthrough infections that could occur, but you're still protected against serious disease, hospitalization, and death, at least based on the early data. So I don't think that should change your behavior as a fully vaccinated individual. If you are not vaccinated, this is another reason that you should get yourself vaccinated, because that's how you protect yourself against these variants. And it's likely that we will see cases here. Hopefully they don't surge, but this is a reason to get vaccinated so you can go about your life with minimal risk.
Dr. Amesh Adalja, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time this morning. That helps, certainly helps alleviate some of the fears. But so now those who are, we're fighting these COVID fears. As shoppers hit the stores and sales are boosting 30% higher than last year. So let's dig deeper now into how this new COVID variant may play into shoppers' thinking. So joining me now is a fantastic Saturday panel. Retail watcher Heather Herzog, Geltrude and Company's Dan Geltrude, and IRC Wealth Management David Ragland. So let's talk first about shopping, and ladies first. So traditionally, this is one of the biggest shopping weekends of the year. This year is a little different, though. We're seeing CPI inflation about 6.2% over the past 12 months. That means that shoppers might not be finding the deals when they go out for Black Friday, or are those deals still out there?
The deals are out there. I was looking through some data last night and checking out some of the websites that have the last minute Black Friday deals. Of course, they're trying to offload a lot of the electronics, especially from last year's models and last season. So you're going to get discounts on, those big flat screen TVs that maybe were not, they're not the newest model. Also stuff like housewares. But as the shopper, I think, the doctor was saying how the risk tolerance, really is all about assessing risk tolerance. And, a lot of the shoppers right now, most of them have gotten their holiday shopping done prior to this week. In fact, I was looking at data from Oracle, and they were saying about 28% of people are still, have not shopped. So that's a pretty low percentage compared to past years where people were kind of sprinting to the end and trying to get those gifts for everyone.
Right. So I want to bring Dan in here now. According to MasterCard, as Hither was just alluding to, MasterCard's spending pulse, Black Friday sales or retail sales were up. They're saying 29.8% versus 2020. So I wanted to ask you, does this news of a variant of Omicron play into the holiday shopping weekend?
Well, I think it does. As people hear about this now, will it have people hold back for the rest of the weekend and push them to do online shopping instead? Well, I hope not, for the sake of small businesses, with today being Small Business Saturday. So I hope people are going to go out and support small businesses, which really got hit harder than anyone else related to COVID. So let's hope it goes down that road. But it seemed to me that a lot of people were starting their shopping much earlier this holiday season to try to get around all of these supply chain challenges. So we're going to have to see what happens for the remainder of this quarter. Last quarter, retail stores were doing very, very well top line. It's going to be how we go about these last couple of months to see how the retailers perform.
And that's a great transition to David. I wanted to talk to you about the markets here. So we know that this tanked the Dow yesterday in a shortened trading day, no less, down more than 900 points. What do you tell your clients about investing in retail at this time, as many look to maybe make money off the boost in sales that traditionally happen during this holiday period?
Well, the retailers have really come down dramatically. They came down dramatically on Wednesday and Thursday already. So you're seeing this buy the rumor, sell the news. And because of this variant coming along now, obviously sales may be impacted because it's all about what we think and know and fear. And fear is the great component that may reduce the eventual shopping that's going to happen next week, the week after. So what we've got to be careful of is see how far down this move in the markets take us. Does it a momentary reset and market moves higher into year end, then people feel better and they'll spend more. Obviously, if the market continues down the rest of the weeks before Christmas, that's going to have a negative impact on shopping, which is going to have a negative impact on our retailers.
Yeah, we'll show some of those down companies on the screen there. So in an exclusive interview, I asked the Atlanta Federal Reserve president about the potential impact of this variant on the economy. He's a voting member next year who will set policy. I want you to listen to this. Here's what he had to say.
With each successive variant that's been introduced, the economy has slowed down, but the amount of slowdown has been less. So if this new variant has the same or a similar type of trajectory as the Delta variant did, then we'll see some slowing, but it should not be as much as what we've seen during Delta.
Dan, I want to ask you about this. What do you think? We don't have a lot of information about Omicron yet. A quicker bounce?
Well, let's hope so. And look, we have to get used to COVID is going to be here for a very long time, if not forever. So we have to manage our economy around COVID much more effectively, which means we can't just shut things down. We have to learn how to keep everything going, business as usual to the greatest extent possible, but just be mindful that COVID is out there, safe practices.
Right, and Hith, I wanted, is this pushing people more online, or to Dan's point, will people sort of get out there and support some of those businesses?
Consumers were already going online. I think the way that the consumer was shopping has been changing, and the fact that we keep having the rise of this various variants, is just cementing that consumer behavior. But I do want to mention, this is Small Business Saturday. Small businesses make the bulk of their money during this period, especially if they're dealing with product during the holiday season. So there's data that came out from Meta, which was formerly Facebook. Right. About 32% of small businesses are having cash flow issues, and that's up from the last time they did this study, which was, when the last time they did this study a couple months ago, it was 24%. So small businesses, there's a real bifurcation here. There's the large businesses, the big box retailers that are going to be just fine if we keep having these variants come up. And then there's small businesses that are really going to struggle. Right. So that's what I am concerned about. How are the small businesses going to be able to bounce back when this happens? Yeah, in the last 15 seconds, I want to bring in David here. 15 seconds left. The EU has closed its borders already. The U.S. is going to do that too. With the futures ahead, moving money into the NASDAQ pandemic stocks. Do you see the downturn continuing to happen? I think we may have a couple more percentage points, but I think that's about it. We talk about how each successive variant, we go down less in the market. And so I think a couple more percentage points is certainly possible, but we set up for a nice run. Crimes, this sort of thing, from felonies to misdemeanors. So the penalties for a lot of this conduct have been relaxed. I think the other thing that's going on is we see a lot of prosecutors who don't necessarily make sensible charging decisions, meaning even when they apprehend one of the perpetrators of these crimes, they might be inclined to make lesser charges, just a theft charge, as opposed to other charges that could be warranted by the evidence, breaking and entering, weapons charges, and the like. That's the other thing going on here. Yeah, so no feeling of punishment. So we've all seen the video that's there. I'm not aware of any shoppers actually being injured as of right now, but this takes a toll on the feeling of security for shoppers. So do you feel like this will keep people away from those high-end stores and department stores then, just by looking at this point? It's already having an effect in the shopper's psyche? It is. And look, law enforcement's job is to make society safe so that people can go out and do their holiday shopping in safety without fear, without concern that they're going to be overrun by these gangs of smash and grabbers. Yeah, so it took a long time to get here. I mean, last year you had the current president saying nothing about rioting for about 3 months over the summer. The same with the House Speaker. In California, you had Representative Maxine Waters, who's telling people, to get in the faces of other people, and they saw confrontation at restaurants. And then you have elections for district attorneys who ran on a softer approach. So obviously, you have people feeling there might not be any consequences. So it wasn't a fast build-up to here. How quickly can we handle this? Committing these crimes. Right. So now that I have you, I want to change topics a little bit. On the heels of the deadly attack in Waukesha, Wisconsin, a group of Democrats are making a push to close all federal prisons within a decade. Listen to this. Progressive Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib being asked about her plan. Listen. I think that everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to just release everybody. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, but did you see how many people are mentally ill that are in prison right now? No, I know, but the act that you endorsed actually says release everyone. But in 10 years, it does release everyone. And what I'm trying to say to you is within 10 years, and obviously there's a process of looking at how can we get away from mass incarceration and move towards care first. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Getting away from mass incarceration? Well, I think her idea is a terrible one. Look, the fact is if you close all the federal prisons, I'm not quite sure where we're going to put individuals who are currently in prison for a good reason, namely that they're either paying the penalty for a crime they committed or they pose a clear and present danger to society. It's all well and good to say things like, let's close all the prisons. But again, what are you going to do with these dangerous people? Are you just going to put them in overcrowded state facilities? Are you going to let them loose on the streets of our community? Right. I'm not quite sure what her answer is to that.